So today, I'm going to attempt to answer the age-old, most controversial question among musicians. What is the easiest instrument to play? And I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. This is a simple answer. You don't need a long video for this. You just pick one. Just one instrument is the easiest to play. There's so many angles you can go at this from that I have to make a whole video. And not only do I have to speak about it, use my experience, I had to use the best place for reliable information. It's Reddit. I asked Reddit what is the easiest instrument to play, and I have a ton of opinions from a bunch of different people. And the number one that I found is piano. But with that, there's a bunch of people who agree that while piano is the easiest to start with because you're just pressing buttons and it's pretty straight up in terms of the technicality and the posture things, they also agree that you're not going to be the best at the piano unless you work really hard. They say it's the easiest, but the ceiling it's a skyscraper. It's like you're on the ground and then the roof is the top of the skyscraper. That's what it's like learning the piano. So you're starting from the bottom and it's a slow process building up, and you never really get to see the top. You don't. Like, honestly, like, I've been playing the piano for 10 years and there's at least 56-year-olds that are better than me. Most people don't get above a skill level like mine. And I'm not bad at the piano, but I'm definitely not. I'm not Bach. I'm not Mozart. I'm not Beethoven. I'm not. But with that being said, it's still a really fun instrument when you're starting off. You can play stuff like Mary Had a Little Lamb and I don't know, Yankee Doodle and Brother John. You know, you might even get up to Fury Elise. But can it really qualify as the easiest instrument if you can't build up to being the best? Like, what do you really think is the easiest instrument? Is it the one that's the easiest to start or the easiest to finish? There's no like end screen when you're learning an instrument. Oh yeah, you did it. That's it. You're max level or whatever. It just keeps going and going and going. So it kind of just goes as far as you want to take it. With that in mind, could we just say that the easiest instrument is the easiest to start? A lot of people beg to differ, because if you think about it, the easiest to learn could be the easiest to become average at. And the average pianist is pretty dang good at piano. So it's still like a hard grind. And I like this answer the best. Piano is the easiest to produce a good sounding tone. You push a key. You can learn simple songs very easily, like I said. There is no physical barrier, but the ceiling for greatness is probably the highest of any instrument. You get more advanced and it becomes perhaps the hardest instrument. Let's say, and I'm not trying to limit this to just piano, guitar, and drums. Those are the ones I play. But there's so many other instruments out there that are different. Like, let's say orchestral instruments like the trumpet, for example. You need to learn like tonguing techniques. You need to learn how to produce a good tone. I'm still not 100% on how that works. But compared to those, the piano is pretty simple, being that you're really just pressing a key. Everybody has fingers. You could probably teach a baby to do it as long as they like gain control of their fingers. As soon as they do that, you're able to do pretty much anything you would ever need to do on the piano. You get me? The post continues. Another way to think of it is piano is the easiest for the body, but hardest for the mind. And I think that in and of itself is pretty profound. You're gonna want to quit piano. I've played the piano and I've definitely wanted to quit at multiple points. I'm at the point now where I wouldn't say I'm stagnant, but I have kind of plateaued. I'm still going up. It's just a lot slower. There's places to go up, but it just takes so much practice and so much willpower. And a lot of the times you just don't have it, you know? Like if you don't have a reason to practice, you're eventually going to stop practicing unless you really love it that much. And I really do hope you love it that much. There is a level of skill you get to, you're going to feel like you don't need to practice anymore. And there is a level of skill that you get to where you're going to feel like you want to be better, but you're going to feel like you can't be better and you're going to feel stuck there. And it's going to be tough, but you're still going to have to get past that. And that's kind of like the mental battle of the piano. Piano is like it's one of those instruments where you can practice every day at something and still not really feel like you're getting better. It's just painfully repetitive. Another thing with the piano is the memorization stuff. It's just and it feels almost monotonous because the piano is just this sea of white keys and black keys that just sound the same every time you click it. It's just a thing that you have to get over. And I think it kind of exists with other instruments, but it really depends on your use case and what you're doing with your instrument. Because it's really different if you're just learning an instrument for fun and you're just going to play it alone. Maybe mom and dad are going to watch you play. Maybe grandma, auntie, they're going to watch you play when they visit, when you go to their home, you'll play one time in church or something. That's completely different from like wanting to become a real musician, playing in orchestras, playing in bands, playing as a group. Like that's a completely different thing. And one thing I will say about playing in a group, there's nothing that revives passion like playing in a group. Oh my gosh. Because it's a different type of pressure, When you're being pushed by someone who isn't learning with you or who isn't playing with you, it's just like, it feels like an outside force forcing you to go somewhere and you don't know where that place is and you don't really care where that place is. It just doesn't matter to you. It can't matter to you because it feels like this person just doesn't understand how bad it is, But it's completely different when you're being pushed by someone who's in the same group as you or who's leading your group, and it feels like you have someone to let down because your practice determines you guys' success as a group. It's not just on you, it's on them and it's on you guys together. So that kind of forces you, especially when there is like group practices. That's another thing I'll say. Like practicing in a group really helps build up like not only your confidence, but your motivation. Even if you're not necessarily all on the same page, not necessarily doing all the same thing. I've had my friends come over and we sit down, we practice completely different things, but we're in the same room. And it's kind of impractical, but at the same time, when we're both locked in, we're both locked in. And that's the good thing, You have a reason to lock in because there's other people locking in. That type of motivation is so positive. I think I got off topic just a little bit, but I had to rant about that. Okay. This video might be multiple parts because I don't think I can fit this all in one video. Still continuing on the same comment because this one is really good. Any monophonic plays only one note at a time will be like the opposite. For example, getting a good sounding tone on its trumpet or violin, not technically monophonic, but you mostly play single notes, is incredibly difficult and might take months of practice just to master Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. But once your strength and posture catches up, it's much easier to learn songs. In terms of how easy or how hard it is to learn instruments, it's not really about how actually easy it is. It's so much more about your purpose, what you want out of that instrument, and the time you have and the way you want to grow, Like I would say if you don't have a bunch of time to always practice something new, don't learn the piano because with the piano, it really takes consistent practice. And if you don't have that, then you're gonna end up not going anywhere unless that's not your goal, you know? Like chords are a very simple thing. And once you learn how to form a chord, it's really just learning how to switch between them. And even that's just kind of body memory. And eventually you'll get that pretty easily. If that's your goal on the piano, then that's your goal, and it'll be a pretty easy instrument for you to learn. I know you've seen the ads. Learn to play 60 songs with just 4 chords. Really? Oh my gosh, just 4 chords? I've been through it. I learned the 4 chords. What are they? C, F, G, and A minor? I understand, and it's not wrong to take that path, you know? Just because you're only learning chords doesn't mean you're not learning an instrument. You're still learning an instrument. It's just a different path. And don't be afraid to take your own path, you know? Don't let people tell you it's wrong.
Run that back.
Don't let people tell you it's wrong.
Up and tell 'em come here. Wait, baby, don't do that. No.
Don't let people hate on you. I was about to hate, I'm not gonna lie. Continuing with the same comment again. Drums are easy to hit and go doink or learn a simple rock beat, but that's not the point. You aren't a drummer or percussionist until you can keep a steady beat for an entire song without losing the tempo or messing up. Playing drums is an entirely different mental realm than other instruments. People make fun of drummers like they're dumb and the instrument is easier. But to be a good drummer means being always ready to go, always listening to the other musicians, and never missing a beat. Easy technique, but the greatest responsibility. Different purpose, you know? It's just about how the instrument is used and the setting in which they're used in. Drums or any percussion is almost always played in a group, and it's almost always used as the metronome of the group. Think about that. A metronome is a literal device. It's a device that helps you keep beat. And that's essentially a robot. So they're asking you to stay there and be a robot, obviously a tasteful robot that adds to the song. But still, for 3, 4, maybe 5 minutes at a time, you're just going and there's nowhere to look back. And there's so much technique to it that you have to get over. So I think that drums and the monophonic instruments in which you're playing one note at a time, they kind of have similar route in which you have to go through. It's like, it's going to be really hard to build up, but once you build up and you have the foundation of technique and posture, it's so much easier to gain from there. And I've seen that in my 2 years of playing the drums. At first, it sucked. How do I hold the sticks? This feels weird. Either way, like there's no normal way to hold the sticks until it actually feels normal. And I imagine it's going to be the same with the bow. I imagine it's going to be the same putting your mouth against a trumpet. But once you get over that and you have the ability to do all the things, especially with me having a foundation in other instruments, I feel like it's so much easier to do so many of the things that you need to do to be a good drummer. Once you learn how to keep a steady beat, it's so much easier to do all the other things that you need. You feel me? The comment says, each thing has its own challenges. Do you want to struggle more in the beginning or later on? It's about what you want your path to be. So I would really say follow your heart, but also we got to get to the bottom of this. So I know there's easier instruments. There's a lot of them that I haven't touched on and a lot of them that I won't get to touch on. But if you want like a second rendition of this where I go through a bunch of the other instruments, I will do that, honestly, because this has kind of just been like a ramble fest. I meant to organize my ideas, but I didn't because I like to speak. With the piano, if you want to go the chord route and you just want to do chords, that's all you, and it's going to be easier that way. There's a lot of instruments in which the chord route is basically the entire point of the instrument. Like acoustic guitar, for example, a lot of it is just chords. Playing chords on the guitar is it feels a lot better than playing chords on the piano when you're doing just chords. It's definitely a different experience. It's definitely harder to get the technique. There's something that's cool, and you cannot discredit the coolness of it. I feel like the most common answer is the bass. And I understand why. If you listen to the bass in so many rock songs, and that's really, it feels like the majority of music is rock. And even if you listen to the bass in other genres of music, most of the time the bass is just, it's just rocking it on that root note. It feels really monophonic, even though it doesn't technically have to be, but that's just how it is. That's really just how it is. And it sounds so good. I love the bass. I will be learning the bass. But I realize if you know how to play the guitar, then the bass becomes super easy because of just like the nature of it. You're not really ever expected to have a high level of skill as a bassist. And I don't mean that in like we expect bassists to suck. It's just you don't need to be as good as the bass to be a good bassist. Then you need to be as good of a guitarist to be a good guitarist. Do you get that? Comment here says, think bass would be the one where if you played every single day for 1 to 2 hours for 68 months, studied some videos and played along to songs you enjoy, that you could be at a much better place than when you started. May take a few more months to be semi-proficient, but if you were playing straightforward rock, indie rock, garage rock, lo-fi, or punk rock, you could be getting a band together before a year would roll around. Still would take a lot of drive and desire, but I hope you take the time to play some music. And I completely agree with that. It really doesn't take much time to be good at the bass. And I'm realizing that now. It's, again, more a technique thing, more a posture thing. But once you get that, like if you've seen bassists play a lot and you can replicate the posture, then it's really not anything for you to just go and do it, you know? But I think I'm gonna end it on that note. Super long video, completely talking head, like holy yap. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you want more videos like this, just hit the like button and tell me what I should talk about, because apparently I can do that now. I didn't even like conclude or anything. What's the easiest instrument? I wanted to give like a real answer. It's yeah, follow your heart.